Hey guys, it's Tim Sharmack, and welcome back to another episode of the Platform Marketing Show. I'm joined today by Seth Bailey. Seth is a realtor in Nixa, Missouri, although you're further enough south in Missouri. Where is it where they call it Missouri, or how far south are you guys?
Still Missouri.
It's still Missouri. Okay. I asked that because my wife and her family
Yeah.
are kind of from the Springfield area nearby, and her dad still lives there and calls it Missouri. And he's like, hey, it's in certain parts of Missouri, it's Missouri. And I always give them crap about that, I'm pretty
It
sure
could
you
it,
guys aren't like
it could
that
be
far
the
south in the
the older
country.
it could be the older generation too.
Yeah. Seth joined the platform family, I believe, in March of this year. We're actually recording this live in July. So it's really only been like 4 months. So this isn't one of those conversations with a client who's been with us for a year or two. You've really only dove into the platform strategy just in the last 4 months. And I actually can't even keep track of all the wins you've had, just in these last 120 days. I had to ask Seth before we started recording, can you list off all the random leads you've had contact you? Because I can't keep track of, how many potential listing appointments you've had, buyers that have contacted you. So let's just try to ground this, I guess, in a solid before and after of the numbers before we get into the conversation, Seth. So I know that last year you said that you had some investor deals that were actually up in Kansas City. And if you factor that out, you did about $6 million in sales volume last year. So in other words, you were already a successful realtor. I think for many, many agents, their dream is someday getting to $6 million. You were already selling more than $6 million plus the sales volume you had from an investor up in Kansas City. So you were already a pretty successful agent. This year, though, even only having been with Platform for the last 4 months, you've already sold 5 million. You've got plenty in the pipeline, and it seems like you're on track to actually hit $10 million this year, which was your goal. Walk me through, Seth, like what has been working with the platform strategy? Maybe what did you expect? Give me the executive summary of what that's been like over the last 4 months since you signed up.
Yeah, so I didn't really know what to expect. Honestly, I've been with a couple other lead generation companies, and I mean, one of them kind of evened out. The other one was kind of a total loss. So coming into it, you didn't really know what to expect. But I spoke with a lot of agents before I joined Platform, and not really any agents had bad things to say about it. They were all with you guys for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So I was like, well, something must be going good. So I just take the leap of faith. Yeah, I mean, kind of starting out, first month I had a ad on buyer needs that I needed with a stop sign, and had a random guy call me from the stop sign that was in his yard. It's pretty funny because he called me as I noticed the stop sign ad you did in my front yard, and I was in Florida at the time, but didn't end up getting it. But that was kind of the first cool win that I had. Just random person calling me and wanted to list their house in my subdivision, so that was really cool. And I've had quite a few other wins, recently with a seller that called me randomly out of the blue, has, seen my videos and didn't interview with anyone else. It was super easy. Felt like they already knew me. So just seeing my stuff consistently was definitely paying off. So a lot of wins, and just trying to keep consistent with that. But, honestly, I just didn't really know what to expect, but it's definitely headed in the right direction for sure already 4 months in.
Yeah. I mean, I think the numbers are always the ultimate proof because something can feel like it's working in this ambiguous sense, but when you look at the numbers, that tells you, is it working or is it not working? And I think the fact that you're on pace
Yeah.
for $10 million this year, when last year your total was more like six, that shows the growth you've had because comparing apples to apples, this year is a far more difficult year than last year. The
Yeah.
market overall for most agents in most markets across the country is down something like 25 to 30%. Not in terms of home prices, but it's down in terms of transaction volume. So that just year over year, there's 25, 30% fewer closings than the same time last year. And yet your business hasn't stayed the same. Your business is on pace to almost have doubled even while the market is down. So I think that's phenomenal. So you're kind of in the Nixa, Springfield area of Missouri. What is the population there, and what is the approximate price point, Seth, of the homes that you're selling?
So Nixa has about 20,000. Ozark, which is right beside Nixa, has about 18 to 20,000. And then you have Springfield, which is a very big population, as well as Branson with the lake and everything. I'm specializing in Nixa since I live here, which is about 20,000 or
Okay.
so.
Okay. And what was the price point that you typically see? Like, what is the average home that you're buying and selling?
Yeah, I would say 275, 300. Right now, my average sale price is 315, so a little bit higher than the average.
Okay. Great. Great. And I think that frames it up for people, watching or listening, because sometimes you hear, oh, this agent's on pace to sell 10 million. And some people hear that and they roll their eyes like, oh, yeah, well, what is he in some super expensive market where every home is $1 million, so he's only selling 10 homes a year? It's like, no. How many transactions have you already had this year, Seth?
I've closed 16.
Okay. And so you're on pace to do over 30 closings this year and in the future, obviously more as the marketing continues to snowball. Is there a
Right.
particular ad, Seth, that you can look back at all of the ads that you've launched within the platform strategy over these last 4 months? Is there like a specific ad that you feel has worked the best?
Yeah. So I did a video on a local business that was opening up in Nixa. So it's a food hall. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it's called 14 Mill Market. So basically, it's a food hall with about 10 different restaurants inside, with outside space for games and music and stuff like that. So basically, you can kind of pick what you want. Did a video with them before it even opened up, and I was shocked to see how many shares and comments and views it got. I think we only spent like $150 on it, and they got over 104 shares.
Wow.
I don't know if actually it shows up as far as views when they share the video, but it got 104 shares with tons of engagement. That was one that I
Yeah.
can point out that went really well with not much money spent, and I got to meet the
Oh,
owners and
cool. Yeah,
stuff like
that's
that. So
that's always honestly half the reason that we really encourage our platform clients to film videos where you're getting out into the community, you're featuring local small business owners, because it's almost an excuse just to network and get to know the small business owners. Because
yeah,
normally, if you would call up any random local business, a restaurant or whatever, and you would say, hi, my name's Seth, I'm a real estate agent here, would you like to meet me? They're going to say, no, because that just sounds like
not really.
a sales call. But if the
Yeah,
context in which you meet them is you're doing a free promotion, you're filming a video to run a social media marketing campaign, giving their restaurant or giving their small business free publicity, I mean, essentially free advertising, then of course they're going to meet you and they're really grateful to meet you. And I just think that's a way better context to get to know people when you're doing something of value for their business for free. We always tell our platform agents that if you do nothing else but you film 12 of these small business highlights every year, one a month, at the end of the year, you should have 12 relationships of small business owners that you actually got to know. They refer people to you because typically in
yeah,
most communities, the small business owners are the most networked, most well-connected people. They know everyone. And so if they know you and they like you and trust you, at some point in the future, it might not be this week, might not be this month, it might not even be this year. But at some point in the future, they will refer business to you if you made a good first impression. So, Seth, did anyone mention that they saw that video? Like in a real life, has anyone told you, oh, I loved the photo you did here or the video you did there? Have you had that happen yet where anyone told you, like in real life, that they liked an ad or a post that you did?
I have a really tight neighborhood. We're always talking, so a couple of them mentioned it, but no one that I didn't
Sure.
know as far as reached out to me about it or said, "Oh, I loved your video you did." But some neighbors and stuff like
Well, I
that.
suppose you actually had a seller you mentioned who saw your ad pop up because you recognized which street you were on.
That
Yes,
is
that was the
true.
first one,
Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, that's, again, you're only 4 months in, but that's a very, very common kind of side effect that we see with agents. The longer they stick with platform, the more likely it is that you might just be walking down the street You might be at church on a Sunday. You might be grocery shopping. You might be at one of your kids' t-ball games or dance recitals, whatever. And someone will come up to you and be like, "Hey, I know you. You're that realtor. I saw your video or I saw your ad." And you kind of have this almost local celebrity feel in
Yeah.
your market. And you're on the way towards building that.
Yeah, I think it'll be just consistency over time. I mean, I've listened to, I think, every single
Oh,
podcast on
wow.
here.
Okay. Okay.
So I've heard most of the agents on there that's been with you guys for a while that have mentioned that. So it'll be cool to get that, in the
You
future.
know, Seth, speaking of consistency, I think one of the reasons that you have been so successful early on in your tenure with Platform is consistency. I know that you've put out a lot of content. I was just perusing your page this morning before we had this podcast interview, and you aren't just doing one ad a month. You're not doing the bare minimum of just putting a little bit of content out there. I mean, regularly you're putting out photos and videos, and you're listening
Right.
to your account manager. I mean, it seems like every week you're probably averaging at least 2 new pieces of content are going out. And so the people on your retargeting list that click on your lead generation ads are regularly seeing new posts, new videos going out. Like they're not just seeing the same ads recycled over and over and over again popping up in their newsfeed. They're regularly seeing new stuff. And I think that's why, again, even though you've only been running the platform strategy for like 4 months, you're already seeing results. It's because of that consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm typically doing 4 listing videos a month. And then, we'll do usually a typical personal moment and then a business highlight and then an education. So the goal is 8 a
Yeah.
month. So really, really making sure I do the listing videos.
Yep. Those are like the Swiss Army knife of the
Yep.
platform marketing strategy, because the more listing videos you film, they generate leads, they build your brand, they kind of accomplish all of the above. And you're doing
Yeah, that's
one a
how
week.
that's how I was able to get the builder. He kept seeing my stuff, and I did the video on his personal home that was listed with someone else. So I was able to show him all the examples of what I've been doing and seeing how many views I've been getting. So I asked him, "What are the other agents doing to market your property?" And he didn't really have an answer. And so if I'm able to show value and that many people bring into his listing as far as views, then why wouldn't he list with someone who does
Yeah,
that?
I think that's one of the coolest benefits of the platform strategy is the data,
Yeah.
the data it gives you when you go into a listing appointment, or even if it's not a formal listing appointment, just any conversation you might have with someone who's thinking about selling their house is, what they're always asking, or what they're always thinking, I should say, even if they don't ask it out loud, is what are you going to do to market my home, or what are you going to do to sell my home that every other agent isn't already doing? Right? Why should I list
Yeah.
my home with you versus any of the other agents that would love this listing? They might not say those words out loud, but that's exactly what they're thinking. And with all of the data that we're tracking, inside of the platform marketing program, we know exactly how many clicks and views and impressions and video views. Like we're tracking all of that for you so we can create reports for you. And you could tell this builder in this instance, well, here's exactly how many video views and exactly how many clicks I've had on my listing promotion videos, like just in the last 30 days or just in the last 90 days, right? And no other agent
Yeah.
has any sort of data like that. They're just going to give bland, kind of ambiguous answers like, well, I do a lot of promotion, and they kind of speak in generalities because they don't have any specifics. And so the more specifics you have, I think the stronger your value proposition is of why someone would want to list with, Seth versus any other agent in the area.
Yeah. Yeah. You going into a listing presentation, you feel pretty confident now versus before.
Now, Seth, you said doing 4 listing videos a month. That's obviously one a week. I'm assuming you haven't
Right.
had that many listings yourself just in the last couple months because we're in such a low inventory market. Are you borrowing these listings from other agents, or how are you finding the properties to film?
Yeah. Typically, I'll have at least 1 or 2 of my on my own, and then I'll borrow the other
Okay.
2, so or the other 3. So usually it's 25% mine and 75%
Okay, I
borrowed.
think that's really, really important to point out for those watching or listening here is that the more listing videos you put out into the world, the better your brand is going to be because people might not do the work of looking you up and looking up your transaction volume or how many millions of dollars you sold last year, whatever. Most people don't do that level of granular research when they're looking up an agent to work with. But they do kind of get like a intuitive sense of is this a successful agent or not, right? Just by looking at your social media profile or Googling you. Because if they search you on Google, YouTube, or even Facebook, we want videos to pop up that you're regularly showing off homes, even if they're not your listings. Because even if it's another agent's listing, the thing is, most people assume it was your listing, right? They just think, oh, that was probably
Yeah.
Seth's home that he sold. It was Seth's listing. We obviously put for like legal reasons, we're always putting that, hey, this listing is courtesy of Bob Smith at Remax or whatever, right? We're always giving the actual listing agent the proper credit that they deserve. But we kind of know, like wink, wink, nod, nod, that most people are going to immediately forget that. If they see Seth on camera, what their brain
Yeah.
remembers is that, oh, this must have been Seth's listing, even if it wasn't. And so I really obviously just want to emphasize that just because you might not have any listings of your own doesn't mean you can't be regularly filming listing videos and running those as ads every single week. Just find listings from other agents. You can kind of create your own reality because at a certain point, perception becomes reality. If they're always seeing Seth showing off homes, they kind of just think, wow, Seth must be like a top agent here. He always has new listings. He's always promoting new homes. I see him showing off homes way more than I do other agents. What they might not know is 75% of the listings are other agents' listings. You are just ambitious enough to go out and regularly create those opportunities so that you always have listings to film.
Yeah, you don't always get a yes from those agents you ask, but you got to ask until you get a yes.
Yeah,
Because I have some in my neighborhood that they're like, no, we don't want to do that. Okay, I mean, I think it's kind of they don't want their client to see you marketing the property better than yours.
sure.
I get that, but if you can find a new construction where it's empty, or I found that vacant ones are a little bit more easy to do, new construction, but I've done many occupied ones too. So you just gotta ask until you get an yes and find a good one that's staged well. And I try to find houses that have one specific thing that I can have my first action on. Like I found one that had a pool table, so that was my first action on one, and then just one that had a really cool front door, open it up. So trying to find things in houses that you can have your first 3 second
Yeah, yep.
action
Just
on too.
always
So
making sure that the opening 3 seconds of the video is doing something kind of unexpected, something creative to grab their attention. Like you
yeah,
don't want to ever start a video saying, "Hi, it's Seth Bailey, and today I would like to," because immediately you've lost their attention. They've scrolled on to the next
right.
thing on Facebook. So always figuring out what is something unexpected, what is something creative I can do in the first 3 seconds to grab someone's attention. I know you mentioned you had one that had a pool table. So you, I mean, what is it even called in pool where you hit the cue ball and it breaks the, I don't even know what that phrase is
Um,
called, where all the balls go in like
uh,
100 directions.
I think it's called
Okay,
breaking
breaking. Yeah.
or something.
And I saw that video and that was great because I wanted to keep watching because it says, that you're a realtor on there. It's like, okay, well, what does this video have to do with anything? And then you realize you're showing off a house. But the point is, by that time, you've hooked me in and now I'm watching the video, right? So every home, no
Right.
matter how vanilla or boring or cookie cutter a home may seem, there's always something you can do to pattern interrupt, right? And make that first 3 seconds
Yeah.
memorable and unexpected and get the people watching. And I want to circle back and just emphasize again that listing videos are not like other social media content that you can create as an agent because you can do all sorts of photo ads or you can post announcements of upcoming open houses. You can even post announcements of new listings you might have coming up. You can give updates on the market, but listing videos are the ultimate social proof because listing videos actually prove that you're an active agent who's out and about selling homes, right? Like
Yeah.
technically a brand new agent who's never sold a home in their life could just pull some data and talk about what's the average days on market for homes in Nixa, or how many months of inventory do we have of listings here. And an agent who literally has been licensed for one day can share information on the market. And so I think there's a lot of coaching programs out there, or a lot of marketing companies that try to overemphasize sharing market information. But honestly, like, most people don't care about that. Most people don't even know what it means when
Yeah.
you say, hey, we have 2 months of inventory or we have 6 months of inventory. They have no context of what those numbers even mean. Or if you say we're in a buyer's market or a seller's market, that just flies over most people's radars. They don't even understand the language that you're speaking. But if you get out and you're regularly touring houses, I think that appeals to the part of people's brains where it gives them the peace of mind of knowing, hey, I constantly see Seth out there showing off houses, selling houses. It looks like he's a really active, successful agent. I want to work with someone like that who just looks like they're out and about regularly in houses doing their job. Because most people don't know what realtors do all day. Like, they don't know what your average day to day looks like, right? But if they see you
Yeah.
out in homes constantly on these listing video tours, they can kind of piece together a mental picture that he looks like a really successful agent. And I don't know a lot about real estate, right? But I want to feel like I'm working in some emotional level, right? I want to feel like I'm working with a successful agent. And I think there's no better way of accomplishing that than just putting out regular listing video tours. So if I could almost narrow it down to anything, the reason you've had so much success so far, Seth, and that you're on pace to do 10 million this year when last year you did more like 6, is that you've consistently done listing videos. That's the number one factor, I think, in your success so far. And what's cool is that you're only 4 months in. So I'm sure if we check back in
Yeah.
month 6 or month 7, you're going to be even further along because that continues to snowball.
Yeah. It's just a matter of consistently doing it. And I think I usually just try to find a day where I can get a video done, or even 2 videos done in a day, and get those done. And because it's not like you're showing houses all the time of the day,
Right.
so just trying to get those done. And get the photo ads are pretty easy to get done. So the listing videos usually take about hour and a half for me anyway. But so just trying to find a day that I can knock 2 of them out at least.
And Seth, how much are you spending every month on the actual Facebook ads themselves? Like, what's your ads budget every month?
It was 100 until this month. Now I bumped it to
Oh,
1,500.
wow. Awesome. Okay.
I was like, I'm getting a closing. I had that. I had one under contract for 600,000, and so that's going to be a really good one. So I figured I might as well get the snowball
Yeah.
effect and increase it to 1,500.
So up until this point, though, just to be clear, what's got you all the results that we've been talking about thus far has been spending about $800 a month on ads.
Yeah, I think one month it was a little bit more, like 950 or something, but I don't think I've ever spent over 1,000.
Okay, well, that's really good to know because I know that there might be some people listening to this, and they're like, yeah, okay, it sounds awesome. His business is growing. He's getting all these leads and listings, but is he spending $5,000 a month on ads, or what does the actual ads budget look like? So you've spent
And
800 to 900 a month most of the months.
I was talking to Emily because I think my retargeting list is more like 40,000, and so we want to be able to reach all of those people. So I think eventually I'm going to have to. I had to kind of increase my budget to make sure I'm
Sure.
hitting a lot of those retargeting lists as
Sure.
well.
I mean, that's awesome that your retargeting list is basically the entire adult population of Nixa at this point. Like, you pretty much have everyone in your retargeting list in the town.
Yeah, I would say it's Nixon Ozark is about 40,000, so it's probably most of Nixon Ozark right
And
now.
how far away from Springfield are you in Nixa? Is that like 15 minutes away or 20 minutes away?
15 minutes for South
Okay.
Springfield.
Okay. So it's kind of like a small town that's about 15 minutes ish from. I mean, Springfield isn't a big city, but it's definitely bigger than Nixa
Yeah, a
is.
lot bigger. Yeah, it's not a city, but a lot more population there. But yeah, Nixon Ozark's about 40,000 combined.
And I heard that you also got a pretty awesome referral from someone in the Platt fam. Are they under contract right now?
Yeah, yeah, I got a referral. It wasn't technically from her, but she knew an agent in her office
Okay,
or
cool. Cool.
something like that. She's like, yeah, he's from Branson, which is about 30 minutes south of of Nixa, and so they called me. A couple from Wisconsin drove down last weekend, and we toured two 115-acre
Wow.
properties,
Okay.
and they ended up getting under contract with one over the weekend.
And what was the price point on that?
So it was listed for 750. We got under contract for
Okay.
700.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that's one of
So
the
we closed.
hidden benefits, I guess, of being in the platform is that yeah, of course, like the reason you sign up for the platform marketing program is to hire us to kind of manage your ads for you and have a marketing agency behind everything that you do. But kind of a cool side effect is that you're also getting access into this national network of agents who love referring business to each other, because most people I've found in the platform, they don't really care what brokerage you're with. Like they don't care if you're with EXP or KW or Real or
No.
Remax or
Yeah.
whatever. No one cares. But they just trust you that because you're in the platform, it means that you're probably a trustworthy agent that they can refer people they know to you, knowing that you're going to take care of them. So I mean, that deal right there, if it's a $700,000 closing, like pretty much pays your marketing fee for the entire year.
Yeah, it will. I mean, with the referral fee, it'll be a little
Yep.
under, but it'll be pretty darn
Yep.
close to the entire marketing.
So it's nice having that essentially just as icing on the cake, right? That you weren't
Yeah.
relying on that to justify any of the marketing because it's already more than paid for itself, but that's just icing on the cake at that point. Seth, how did
Yeah.
you first hear of Platform?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure I saw you guys on Facebook and then got on a call with Diana, and she kind of sold me. It was just refreshing, kind of hear what it was all about, and it kind of intrigued me with the business owners and building a brand versus just getting leads. So I was more excited about the brand versus just getting.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys send leads and stuff like that, but I was more excited about building a brand for myself and being here for a couple of years. I want to be that guy in this area versus the other big guys. I want to be able to be on their
Yeah.
level. So just building a brand that really excited me. And even though it's expensive, I'm with the lender that pays for half of my platform as far
Yep.
as money, and so I felt like that was a big help. So yeah, it was initially Diana because she was really good at kind of explaining everything, and she definitely sold me on everything.
Yeah. What you just said there, I think is what makes the platform strategy unique from so many other marketing opportunities that agents might have, whether it's lead generation on this company, that company, buying leads from Zillow. So much of the focus with other marketing approaches is on leads. And what makes platform different is yes, you're going to get leads, right? Because at a certain point you have to generate some leads as part of any marketing strategy. But platform is really about building your reputation and building your brand in a community, and that the brand generates leads almost as a byproduct of establishing that local brand. So like leads are kind of the icing on the cake. Like leads aren't the reason you do it. It's to build the brand, and then leads follow from that. And I think you're probably already starting to experience that just in your first couple months of what we mean when we say, "Hey, we're building your brand. We're not just generating leads."
Yeah, I mean, I've had other companies that just produce leads, and that's not going to last long term. So yeah, exactly. It's building a brand over a lifetime versus just getting leads that don't really pan out. I think having your face on stuff is the way to go.
Seth, what are you most looking forward to with Platform in the future? Because it sounds like you've already talked to some agents that have been with Platform for a year or two or even longer. Are there any ads that you haven't done yet that you're excited to do, or any results you've heard other people talk about that maybe they've accomplished that you're looking forward to getting to yourself?
Yeah, a couple. I mean, just getting recognized in public will be fun. Like, just get randomly stopped and say, "Hey, you're that realtor." That'll be fun to get my first one of those. And getting random calls. I've heard people getting like one, two a week, messages, calls, and just building a pipeline where you're constantly busy and the sellers are calling you versus you calling them. So
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
probably the main thing, is just creating that brand and you being the main guy in this area to help them out. So just people calling you versus you going to them, which I've done a lot over the past 8 years of being there Realtor. I'm doing a lot of cold calls, which I think is good as well. But it's definitely nice when people call you versus you calling them. Like the lead that I have under contract, they called me out of the blue, met with them. No one interviewed them besides me. Got an exclusive right to sell the next day. I mean, probably the easiest client that I've ever worked with. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think, the ultimate platform success story right there is that you're
yeah,
not just getting leads, you're getting leads that specifically want to work with you. Like they're not even interviewing other agents
yeah,
because they saw your marketing, they fell in love with your approach. In some sense, they got to know you even before they ever spoke to you because they saw enough of your ads getting to know who you are that they reach out to you. Again, you aren't calling them. They actually reached out to you and they said, "Hey, we like what we see of your social media. We'd like to sell our house and we want you to list it. Like, we're not even going to interview other agents. We just want to work with you." That's
yeah,
the ultimate win from a marketing perspective. Like, it doesn't get better than that.
yeah. I was kind of bummed that I wasn't able to do a listing video with our house because we ended up getting sold off market, and
Oh,
they
okay.
were they were moving all their stuff out pretty quickly, so I wasn't even able to get a listing video inside the house and my full video, which I was kind of bummed about. But I was like, well, I got in our contract, so that's a little better.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That's a win. Seth, last question here. What would you tell someone who's doing their research, doing their due diligence, they're thinking about maybe giving platform a try, but it's a lot of money. Platform isn't cheap. It's,
Mm-hmm.
expensive because it works, right? It's not $200 a month, right? Platform is a serious investment for people that are actually serious about growing their real estate business. What would you say to someone who's in that process of researching platform, but they're just not quite sure if they should move forward? What's your perspective after having joined the platform program about 4 months ago?
I would say look at it, instead of spending money, just look at it as investing in your business versus just throwing money away. I felt like I'm never going to get to the point where I want to be unless I invest in my business, invest in my marketing. So it's a leap of faith, but I think you have to give it at least, I've heard other agents say at least 6 months to a year before the snowball really kicks in. But agents I've talked to before I joined, they were like, you have to give it at least 6 months, give it at least a year before you really see the effect of it. But I would say for them also to try to team up with a lender as well to help with the cost, like I did. I teamed up with a title company that is paying some of my fees. And so just right there, it's about $1,000 that I'm getting from other vendors. And so that's one help people could do, but you just got to look at it as an investment versus just throwing money down the drain because even one deal is going to most likely pay for at least half of your budget. It's just different than any other marketing company that I've been with. And if you want to build a brand, then I don't know how to do that. So you have to hire someone that knows how to do it and has done it for a while. So I would say that would be just the main thing. It would just be invest in your business and look at it that way, kind of a mindset shift.
Well, Seth, this has been really encouraging to me to hear how much success you've already had just in your first 4 months of platform. Because again, what all those other agents have told you is the truth. Most people, it takes for sure 6 to 12 months to really see the results start to kick in a major way. I mean, obviously, you see leading indicators even in the first couple months because leads are flowing in the first couple months, but it's not as if you typically get a bunch of closings in the first couple months, right? For most agents to really feel like, oh, okay, this is definitely working, I'm super excited about this, that usually takes 6 to 12 months, and you're already seeing clear results basically just 90 days in. So that's really encouraging for me to hear that.
Yeah,
We'll have to do a follow up podcast episode maybe next year once you've been with Platform for a full year just to
yeah.
see where your business is at. Will I see you at the mastermind later this year?
Probably not this year. We're actually going to Florida in October
Oh,
sometime,
right
so
on. Right on.
going back would be a little stretch, but hopefully next year. Next year we'll get my wife on board and we can get down there where it's warm. But yeah, hopefully by next year.
Cool. Well, Seth, we'll have to schedule a follow up episode, like I said, at some point next year once you've already had a full year, just to see where your business is at, because I have a sneaking suspicion that you'll be in an even better spot than you already are now, as impressive as the results have been just 4 months in. But guys, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Platform Marketing Show, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.